We knew on the show that we were going to have a time ship. And of course we needed a name for the time ship. And I thought, oh, this is a great opportunity for a DC Comics, Easter egg. And I couldn't think of any ships that had cachet in the DC universe. So I called up Jeff Johns and I'm like, hey, listen, I think that this is a great opportunity for like an Easter egg or call out for the fans. And he's like, why don't you call it the Waverider? And what makes that cool is there isn't a ship called the Waverider, but there's a character named Waverider in the comics who works with Rip Hunter, who does travel through time.
It's certainly evocative in the idea that they're traveling through time, and to give it a name that was shared by another time-traveling character.
It actually was the perfect little reference.
For us, a bunch of writers who are children of the 70s, it wasn't hard to imagine living on a spaceship, since we grew up watching Star Trek and later Star Wars. That was like a dream come true. It's been a long time since there's been a spaceship on network television.
The first thing that would be done on this show would be designing the Waverider. So there was a lot of drawings to be done for that. It would start with rough sketches from me, and then those sketches would be given to an illustrator so that he could send them to the producers, and they could then we could all get on the same path of what the ship should look like. This is our working model. This is probably 250 feet long. I think it should be, because this is 130 feet long, our set. So I always imagine it had 3 different levels. It would be a lower level that would have the engine rooms and the cargo bay and possibly the brig. You can imagine the 3 layers being in here somewhere, and this being the main layer, so there'd be a layer below and a layer on top, I would think, of the ship. This is our longest hallway we have. To me, when I looked at different space movies and spaceships, and I thought of aliens.
We spent a lot of time talking about the Waverider, the interior and the exterior, and we spoke a lot in terms of, the USS Enterprise, the Nostromo.
I mean, that's the push and pull when you do something that's iconic. You're trying to work within the sort of parameters of a theme, but in a way that feels new.
It's the flagship of the series. It's the most important set.
You have to immediately turn on the TV, see the Waverider, and go, oh, you're watching Legends of Tomorrow.
I don't think you'll find a room like this on too many spaceships. Rip is a time traveler, and he's also an adventurer and an explorer. And he goes back in time and he collects things, but he'll sometimes go back 200 or 300 years. So he's always picking up little bits and artifacts, so they always end up in his little parlor.
It's also a gallery of little Easter eggs that our production designer, in the hopes that we would maybe hit on 1 or 2 of them. One of the most obvious is, there's a Jonah Hex wanted poster in there.
It's like walking into a museum in this space, but then right outside the glass is this very modern, bridge of a ship. It's a kind of a timeless space in here, and so we've kind of made it a little warmer. He can have a glass of whiskey in here and talk to, some of the actors in here, and so it's got a timeless, older feel to it, antiquated. He's got some old maps that he's collected. It's interesting that we could marry the 2 together. We didn't really know if it was going to work or not. But other than that, how the hallways looked and the cargo bay, and that was pretty free reign for us to do what we wanted.
Ian, our production designer, had this really great idea, which is that on the bridge, it would be sleek and modern, but as you progressed back towards the back end of the ship, it would get progressively grittier. It's all contiguous. So you can literally walk from one end of the ship to the other without cutting.
The ease of shooting in the ship allows us to use the mobile camera all the time. Probably almost daily when we're in the Waverider. And it's also good too, because then we can do, technically what we call walk and talks, where we can keep the scenes motivated to motion.
This is going into one of our hallways. I wanted this hallway to feel real and practical, and that there was something going on in this hallway. There's some, you know, there's steam pipes, and there's water pipes, and there's fuel pipes, and there's electrical cable in the wall. So I really wanted to give this a sort of a grittier look in here, and a little darker shadows. The ship has a bit of a character then, you know. So then in this area here, the hallway splits in two, and you can go to the left or to the right, and that'll take you back into the bridge. This is the bridge. This is where our 9 characters do most of the work on the ship, and so all our other characters sit in these seats. These are like NASCAR seats. These are aluminum race car seats that we've added padding to, and we've added handles on the side to hold on, and then we've added this piece of aluminum that we manufactured. So yeah, this is actually a found seat. That's a trick that we did that nobody knows about except the people who are going to watch the show now. The pilot's seat is the one closest to the windshield, and when he gets in that seat, it turns around and it moves forward about 6 feet towards the windshield. And he has a little throttle there.
You usually prefer to work alone, Captain?
This time I'll need a team.
What's cool about our set is a huge amount of it is practical.
So they actually operate this from outside the set. And this is what turns Rip's chair and moves it forward, and they do it all from behind the set here.
That's what makes it kind of unique. And then we add Gideon to that. Gideon is this AI supercomputer that had been introduced on the Flash show.
Gideon, where's Savage's money now?
Dr. Boardman theorized that Savage entrusted it to the Broomberg Group.
Gideon kind of lives in this ceiling piece here, and so every once in a while she'll speak or she'll appear.
Obviously Gideon is a visual effect provided by Encore with Armin Kevorkian's amazing team.
I kind of aided in where she would appear from, you know, that center core in the middle of the ship. This center piece can move down, and there's a light in the middle of it. That's operated by ropes. There's some ropes outside of the stage, and they just do that manually with a rope and a cable. But I think she's there because you don't see, our crew members on our ship don't really do a lot of flying. So somebody has to look after the ship. Somebody has to start the engines and, you know, steer the ship and keep things running.
Even before we've decided to like leave planet Earth or travel in time, we have an enormously complicated sort of visual effects palette that we have to touch every episode. And so you do see this evolution of the DC universe where it starts with Arrow, a vigilante, and then, you know, Flash. It is like the universe where it's like expanding, and you can't go back to like a simpler world. It's astounding because it seems impossible. Like every show you do, it feels like, well, this clearly has to be the limit of what's possible on television, you know, and then every year you find yourself doing it's like, I can't believe we're actually trying to do something more than what almost killed us last year.